Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and welcome back to the Tortured Poets department. Now, it has been just over a month since Taylor released her 11th album, The Tortured Poets Department, and I think I've sat with it long enough now to be able to do my tier ranking of this album. Obviously, I have done a tier ranking of all of Taylor's songs before, everything from Debut to Midnights. So this is me doing Torch Poets, and I checked, and the tier ranking that I used for that ranking of all her songs hasn't been updated with Torture Poets, so I can't use that to add to it because that would have been really handy, because then you would have been able to see it in comparison to all the songs that came before, all of the songs you've loved before, but it hasn't been updated, so I can't use it. So we're just gonna have to go in with a brand new one. But we're using the same tiers because I really like my Taylor Swift tier ranking tiers. So of course at the top we have God tier for the best songs. Maple Leaf Status, which if you don't know comes from a girl who misheard the lyric and I Bet You Think About Me as chasing Maple Leaf Status, which is just really funny, and then started asking what it meant because Jake Gyllenhaal isn't Canadian. And ever since then, I just think Maple Leaf Status is the funniest thing. So this is for the songs that are iconic. Instead of icon status, we have Maple Leaf Status. Then we have What a Marvelous Tune for the songs that are good and that I really like but aren't quite iconic or god tier. Then we have Not Love, Not Hate, Just Indifference. These are for the songs that I don't really swing either way. I don't love them, I don't hate them, they are just mid. Then we have I Forgot That You Existed for the songs that I just genuinely don't listen to, I skip them, I just sort of forget that they're there. And then at the bottom we have Death by Electric Chair for the songs that I absolutely hate and don't want anything to do with. So, where am I at in general with the Torture Poets department? It's really interesting because I don't think I've ever seen a Taylor album get such a divisive reaction. I mean, Midnights was kind of divisive, but I feel like it's taken some time for people to. I feel like when Midnights came out, I never really heard people, apart from people who weren't really that big on Taylor Swift anyway, like people who are like casual fans, were saying that it was Midnights. Um, but the Swifties, I didn't really hear anything from the actual Swiftie community to say that Midnights was bad. But a lot of the talk that I've heard around Torture Poets is comparing it to Midnights and saying things like, well, at least it's not Midnights, at least it's better than Midnights. And I really didn't realise that people didn't vibe with Midnights, but I do feel quite glad to know that because when I listened to Midnights for the first time, I was kind of like, oh. Like, there's a lot of really great songs on there, especially the 3am tracks. Like, there's some great songs. The Great War, Bigger Than the Whole Sky, and obviously Would've, Could've, Should've, one of the greatest songs she's ever written. But Midnights on a whole was just kind of a bit mid. It was mid. And um, I'm only realising now that people had such a kind of divisive reaction about that album. But I definitely saw with Tortured Poets that people were not really sure how to feel about it. A lot of like devoted Swifties saying that they weren't a fan. Um, some people saying it's a grower, not a shower, that you kind of have to listen to it a few times for you to really kind of be able to take it all in. And I think that is true considering there was 31 songs, so it does take some time to process that amount of information. But for me personally, I actually really like the album. Is it's still in the bottom half of my ranking, you know what I mean? Like if I was doing a full album, like an albums ranking, it would still be in the bottom half. But for me, it's sort of on par with Reputation. And Reputation's an album that I've never been able to quite entirely like figure out my thoughts on because there's some songs on there that I love, but there are quite a few songs on there that I really don't vibe with at all. Songs that I just don't like Endgame. I hate Endgame. And other songs that like I don't hate, but I just never listen to because I just don't really care. Um, King of My Heart, Dress. Sorry, I know people love that song, but Dress doesn't do anything for me. I don't really listen to Don't Blame Me. I know that's sacrilege, but other than the big key change, like the big note, it doesn't really do anything for me. So it's kind of on par with Rep, where it's like there's some songs that I really, really love, and I love the overall idea of the album, the concept, the vibe, the art, everything like that. But like as a collection of songs, for me, it's not as strong as some of her other albums, and that's really where I'm at. But do I like the Torture Poets Department? Absolutely, I really do. Do I like it more than Midnight's? Yes, I do. Um, and I have been listening to it pretty much nonstop since it came out, and particularly the anthology, because the anthology, as many people have said, basically just Evermore 2. It's like Woodvale. There was a conspiracy about like a third Folkmore album because like there was this hidden word in her album cover, and they said like that's the name of the next album, but then Taylor's team said that that was actually meant to be removed because it was the placeholder name for Evermore, but then they changed it to Evermore, but it used to be called Woodvale. And people were like, I don't believe it. I think there's a third album. So this feels like the third like Folkmore album. But it's not. It's just that it has the vibes of the Folkmore era. And because I am a Folkmore girly, that suits me down to the ground. I could listen to the anthology all day, every day, and never get bored. The standard album itself did definitely take me some time, but I do still really like it. I do, and I'm glad that we got it. I'm glad that we got the Torture Poets Department. So, let's get into it. So, up first, of course, we have Fortnight, which was her lead single of the album, and Fortnight has really taken some lessons for me to kind of start to vibe with. I don't. When I first heard it, I have to say, as the opening song of the album, I was kind of like, huh. Because it certainly wasn't what I expected. And it was very kind of sleepy, and I couldn't really figure out what the lyrics were talking about. And I don't know, I think just as an opening to the album, I was just very confused more than anything else. I'm like, why are you talking about your husband's cheating and your wife waters flowers? Like, what are you talking about? What is any of this about? And then it's like, move to Florida, buy the car you want. Like, what are you talking about? Post Malone's here. The music video is about an asylum, but like the song itself is about being in the garden and watching your ex-husband over the fence. Like, it was a lot and I didn't really get it. And sonically I was kind of like, this is very sleepy. Like, it's very sleepy. And I'm like, we've turned on the album and I'm used to like the first song, well, not always, but like the first song on our album is usually a bop. You know, like open up. I remember the moment I hit play on Midnights and I heard Meet Me at Midnight and I was just like, oh, here we go. And I was like, oh, here we go, ready for a bop. Um, mine, Welcome to New York, I don't like, but it is a bop. State of Grace, also a good song. And I just thought Fortnite for an album opener, I was kind of like, huh, you're putting me to sleep, and we've got 14 more songs, or 30 more songs, as it turned out. But you know, as times went on, it has grown in me. And I heard it on the radio the other day and it was stuck in my head for the rest of the day. And I'm like, I never actually thought this song would be an earworm because it's so sleepy, but it really is. And I found myself sitting around all day just like, in for a fortnight there we were for, like, it's always stuck in my head. So it has definitely grown on me. So I think I'm going to give it Marvelous Tune. When I first heard it, I genuinely thought it would be going and I forgot that you existed. I didn't think I was going to listen to this song again, but it gets into your head and it won't leave. I love you. It's ruining my life. Me about this song, and I love Posty, so there's also that. And the music video was great. The visuals and the asylum and the Dead Poet Society actors, the typewriters. It was great. It was great. The Torture Poets Department. So I was listening to this song again this morning because when I first heard it on the album, I think I liked it a lot more than Fortnite on first listen because I was like, oh, this is more kind of where I thought we were going. It's a bit more kind of, I don't know, it just sounded more like what I was kind of expecting instead of Fortnite. But I have to say, it's not a song that I come back to very often. I thought I really liked it on first listen, but actually, I don't listen to it very often, and I'm not against it. I do like it. I do like it, but it's not one that I really come back to. Um, it's funny because in my reaction I said like the line about Charlie Puth. Yeah, I was like, Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. I have since discovered that that's a really unpopular opinion. A lot of people don't like Charlie Puth, and apparently he's not a particularly great guy. Like he said a lot of kind of dodgy things, which I did not know. I only know his music. I don't know anything about Charlie Puth as a human being. It's, I really don't. So I didn't know that he was like a controversial figure. I was just like, yeah, Charlie Puth releases bops. So yeah, it turns out that's a really unpopular opinion. Nobody thinks that Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. And I don't know, I don't know, I do like the song. I can't pretend that I don't. But actually, I am beginning to think that maybe I like it less than Fortnite, which is not at all where I expected that to go. But as I'm sitting here now thinking about it, I listen to Fortnite more than I listen to the Tortured Poets Department. And it is kind of, it is cringe. And I think she knows it's cringe. You know, like I think the song is meant to be cringy, but it is kind of cringe. And I'm not sure, I don't entirely vibe with the chorus where it's just like, who's gonna hold you like me? No fucking body. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna have to give it not love, not hate, just indifference, which is not at all what I expected to be saying here, but I can I don't think I can give it Marvelous Tune. Wow. Wow. Revelations are coming out here right now. Okay, my boy only breaks his favorite toys. I still really like this one. I really do. Um I love the melody. It's really catchy. It's one of those ones where it's like it's the melody's upbeat, but the lyrics are so depressing. I actually quite like the lyrics because I like the references to like the army doll because it kind of that goes back to the whole like fighting in only your army's front lines, don't you ignore me, and it goes back to like her being a soldier in the Great War, that you know she feels like she's been through the ringer basically. And I love the end where it's like stole my tortured heart, left all these broken parts, told me I'm better off, but I'm not. I think that that's devastating. I really like My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. It's not my favorite of the album, obviously, because I have ones I like more, but I really like it. It's very catchy, and I think I'm gonna give it Marvelous Tune as well. I do really like that song. It's I really like the tune. Down Bad. Down Bad's a weird one because I don't think I love it as much as a lot of people in the fandom do. I know a lot of people are like obsessed with Down Bad. Some people are saying it's like their top five, their top three of the album. It's not for me, but I do like it a lot. The verses don't really do anything for me. The whole like alien spaceship, did you really beam me up? Doesn't really do anything for me. But the chorus is so catchy and so good. And I just love it. You know, now I'm down bad, crying at the gym. Everything comes back, teenage petulance. Fuck it if I can't have him. I love that. And then I love the bridge of like I lost my twin. Fuck it if I can't have him. I love all of that. It's just the verses that for me fall a bit flat, but I really like the song overall. So again, I think I'm gonna give it Marvelous Tune because it is very catchy, and I do kind of want to run on a treadmill while singing this song. I want to cry at the gym and sing Down Bad. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. And I really like the transition she's done at the Torture Poets Department set at the concert, where it's like it transitions from Down Bad into Fortnite, and she's like spinning around on that block. No idea how they do that. It's like a giant Roomba. You know, she's like, fuck it if I can't have him. I love you. It's ruining my life. It's so good. I love that. So Long London. So this song took me a couple of listens, but my god, I love it. I love it. And I don't understand people who say that it's not a track five because it's undoubtedly the saddest song on this album. Like, I get that Love of My Life or Loss of My Life, whatever you want to call it, like, lyrically is more sad, but I think the overall sense of loss is actually heavier on So Long London when you consider what it is that she's losing. When you consider that there's a difference between this manic episode that she had with Matty Healy and a 7 year genuine relationship that she thought was going to be for her entire life, which then burned down flames around her and took with it not just him, but the life that they built together. the home that they had got together, the city that they had created an entire life for themselves in, and she had to abandon all of that and go back to America without him and try and rebuild her life. That is such a more significant loss than losing Matty Healy. Like, I get that her and Matty had more going on than just this, like, month-long, like, flirtation. Like, it was a 10-year sort of, like, what-if scenario. But even that's not as significant a loss as what she had with Joe. And I think it's very telling that she chose to make this song track 5. Because I think at the end of the day, what she's trying to say is that, like, you know, she calls this a mutual manic episode between her and Matty in her in summation poem. But I think what she's trying to say here is, like, I wouldn't have done any of this crazy shit if this hadn't happened. This is the root of it all. Like, I had to leave my London boy, and it sent me so crazy that I did all this crazy shit with Matty Healy. I went mad, and I had a manic episode, and I'm good now. But you need to understand that the only reason that I did all this is because this happened. This is the root of all of it. It's because I had to say so long London. And I think that's very telling. Also, the song is beautiful. There is a part of it, like, I do kind of wish the song had less production. Like, if I hear this played on a piano, like, or the guitar, the acoustic set, I will cry. But, like, I do honestly think the song might have been a bit better without the synth, and I kind of get what it's going for. Like, that synth that runs through it is, like, very anxiety inducing, and I think that's the idea. It's like this sound of, like, adrenaline, of, like, that anxiety that she feels of knowing that her relationship's falling apart. Kind of like the heartbeat sound in You're Losing Me. Like, it's meant to represent how she feels. So it's like the anxiety, the adrenaline rush, the bad, because adrenaline can be a bad thing. Like, you get adrenaline, you know, if you have, like, an accident, you can get adrenaline from, like, trying to save your own life. It's not always, like, a good thing to have an adrenaline rush. And that's kind of what she's feeling, is she's like, I'm having to leave all of this behind, and it's, like, awful. And I get what that sound is meant to represent in the music, but I still think I would have preferred a more stripped back version. Like, I think of, like, Last Kiss, and, like, if it just had that very soft production, I think I would have liked it more. But lyrically, this song is gorgeous. Like, I will never get over you say I abandoned the ship, but I was going down with it. My white knuckle dying grip, holding tight to your quiet resentment. That is devastating. And I'm just getting colour back into my face, and I'm just mad as hell because I loved this place for so long. It's horrible. The lyrics are just devastating. And then the fact that even though it's so sad, even though she's losing everything that she'd built, she still says in the end, like, you'll find someone. I'll find someone. She's like, we've lost everything that we built together, but you're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And in the end, I just want you to be happy. Like, I just want you to move on, and I want us both to have good lives without each other, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I think that's sometimes I think that's even sadder than, like, when something, you know, when someone cheats or, like, someone does something really bad. Sometimes the saddest end to a relationship is just the moment where you look at someone and realize that you're just not in love anymore. You know, like that moment where you just kind of realize, like, we are not a couple anymore. We are two acquaintances living under the same roof. That, I think, is almost sadder than when someone breaks your heart, because that's a very slow death at that point. So I love Solo in London. I'm going to give it Maple Leaf status. I think it's really good. But Daddy, I Love Him is obviously God tier. This is one of the best songs she has made. I mean, ever, but certainly in years. Like, I love this song so much. It came on when I was, and you can see it in my reaction, you can see how happy I am, because I'm like, this song has the, like, the styling, the production, the sound of a Speak Now song. It's very old school Taylor, and I was just like, I haven't heard her sing a song like this in years, and it is like the grown up love story. You know, it's the same premise. It's the same premise of, like, I'm dating a guy and my parents hate him and everyone's telling me to stay away from him, but I'm gonna do it anyway because you can't tell me not to. And there's just something so funny about knowing that like 17-year-old Taylor wrote a song of that ilk, and now like 33-year-old Taylor wrote the song of the exact same premise. Because she's just like that. She's always gonna go for love, and she's never gonna listen to anyone tell her not to, and it doesn't matter, you know. She ignored when they said run as fast as you can. She never learns. And we love her for it. We love her for her absolutely unhinged approach to love. It's 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 just that's who she is as a person, and we clap and cheer. Um, but I love this song. It's so good. It's so catchy. And honestly, I was watching the live stream of Paris Night One because obviously I'm in the UK, so like it wasn't on like at 2 in the morning, like the majority of Taylor's gigs up until now, so I could watch it live. So I watched the live stream of it, and I was sitting there, waiting to hear what the first song was in the Torture Poets department. And when she went, I forget how the West was won, I just burst into tears because I was like, oh my god, she's doing it. She's singing the best song on the album. Because the problem with the Torture Poets set was it's like she'd already planned that before the album came out, so she couldn't base the set around what songs were popular with the fans. So we just kind of had to hope that the songs that Taylor liked were also the songs that we liked. Because she could have picked all the worst songs, you know? Like, this is the girl who made me. Like, we can't trust her. Um, but she didn't. She picked the best song on the album. She put it first. It's great. And it's just so utterly joyful. You know what I mean? Like I know what the premise is kind of negative, but it's just such a joyful song. And I never expected a song like that to come from an album called The Tortured Poets Department. Like this is it reminds me so much of like Mine, you know? Like that's what it's got the vibes of. Mine, Speak Now, Story of Us, like that's what it reminds me of. And as I speak now, girly, that is everything to me. Fresh Out the Slammer. So Fresh Out the Slammer was the song that I'd identified as being like the song, like it was my one that I'd picked before the album came out. I was like, that's gonna be my favourite, just off the back of the title. And it was not. Fresh Out the Slammer is a bit of a skip for me, if I'm completely honest. I don't really listen to it. Um I think I've only listened to it a handful of times since it came out. Lyrically, I really like the lyrics. I do. Because that's the whole idea of like um, you know, handcuffed to the spell I was under for just 1 hour of sunshine. Like this idea that she was a prisoner, locked in a relationship that she didn't want to be in, and all she wanted was to like break free, to be fresh out the slammer. And that is definitely still the concept of the song, although what I didn't expect was her basically saying like, once I'm fresh out the slammer, I'm gonna go and get together with Matty Healy. Which, like, okay, girly, whatever you want to do. But just overall, like the vibe of the song doesn't really do anything for me. It is a bit of a skip. So I think I'm gonna have to give it Forgot That You Existed, because to be quite honest, I never really listened to it. And I do, I feel like if you asked me to name all the songs on the album, there is a good chance I would forget that Fresh Out the Slammer is on there. So there's that. Um, Florida. So Florida has grown on me, but only to a point. Like I didn't really like it on first listen. And I didn't really expect to, because as I said in my reaction video, as much as I absolutely like admire Florence Welch for her insane vocals, Florence and the Machine's music and their style is just something that doesn't really work for me. Like I don't enjoy listening to Florence and the Machine. I'm not saying like I absolutely accept and truly believe that Florence Welch has an incredible voice, but it's just that their style of music doesn't really do it for me. So I did kind of think that there was a chance that I wasn't going to like this song. Um, but honestly, like it is catchy and it is growing on me, but I still don't love it. Um, I still feel very uncomfortable about the "Weed or Little Babies" line. It just makes me feel icky, and I don't know. It just there is a point where the dum 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 is what it's like. It's it's the same as the amount of letters in Florida, so seven doofs, which is just too many doofs, to be honest, and it does get quite annoying after a while. So I am gonna say I probably am gonna give Florida Not Love Not Hate Just Indifference. Like I don't dislike it. It is catchy, and I do, if it comes on, I don't skip it, but I don't love listening to it either. Guilty as Sin. So I'm about to say something that is gonna honestly, mate, you're gonna ask me to rescind my Swifty card. I don't really get what everyone else is hearing in Guilty as Sin, because the first time I listened to it, I'm pretty sure I said in my reaction video, like, that song was not my favourite so far. And it hasn't really grown on me since. I don't really like it all that much. But for some reason, the entire fandom is saying it's like the best song on the album, and people were really sad that she didn't put it on the set list. And the other day, everyone was losing their mind because she played it at one of the Stockholm shows as an acoustic number. And people were like, oh my god, I can't believe she played Guilty as Sin and that it wasn't there. And I'm like, if I'd been at that concert and that is the surprise song I got, I would have been so disappointed. Because of all the songs in this album that she could play, and she played Guilty as Sin, I would have been like, are you kidding? I know you can't guarantee that you're going to get a song that you like at the surprise song set, but I would have been sad. I don't get it. I don't really get what y'all are hearing. It's it's fine. It's just fine. Like, yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me personally. So I'm gonna give it forgot that you existed, and you're just gonna have to accept me for my flaws. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me has to be God tier, because come on, that is iconic. That is the most crazy thing I have ever heard. It's crazy. Like, what is she? It's insane. It's just pure. I mean, Ash says it's female rage the musical, but it's mad. It's just madness. It's so crazy, and I love it. I love it. I spent my whole life just sitting there like, don't you worry, folks, we took out all her teeth. Who's afraid of little old me? Like, it's always stuck in my head, and it's just listening to it is so crazy when it's just like I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. And it's just the perfect song. I can't remember who said it, but someone said in the reaction video, like, there's going to be a million edits of Scarlet Witch made with this song. And for me, any song that has the vibe of this would make a really good fan video. Absolutely works for me. And yeah, I could make so many fan videos out of Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. So I love it. It's completely crazy. And good for her for just not bothering to hold back on this album and just going completely mad. We love her for it. I can fix them, no really I can. I actually like this one a lot more than most of the people. I've seen a lot of people call this one a skip, and I can understand why, because it's short and it's quite like there's not a lot of production on it. It's quite simple. It's quite a simple little song, but I actually really like it. Um, so I'm gonna give it Maple Leaf status because I actually really like that one. Loss of My Life. I'm not gonna give it God tier, but it's close. The lyrics in this song are so deeply, deeply cutting, just so incredibly sad. You low down boy, you stand up guy, I'll never leave, never mind. Mr. Steal Your Girl and Break Her Heart. It's so, so incredibly sad. And the fact that it's like, it's about being love bombed, you know, like you said, I'm the love of your life about a million times, and then knowing that he ghosted her, like, after a month, is so utterly tragic. And I can understand why she's like, that's the loss of my life. Because it's like, I wondered for 10 years if you might have been the one that got away. I wondered if maybe someday we would get together and that would be the moment that everything fell into place. And when her and Joe broke up, she was like, this is my chance, like, this is it, I'm gonna go and get with Matty and everything's gonna be perfect. And for a few weeks she thought it was, because he told her that she's the love of his life about a million times, and he took a ring off her finger and put it on the one that people put wedding rings on, and that's the closest she'd come to her heart exploding. And then he just disappeared and she never heard from him again. And no wonder that's the loss of her life, because what an absolutely horrific thing to happen in such a short space of time, to go from, like, I've just lost the guy I've been with for 7 years, now I've met a guy who wants to marry me, and now he's gone. The space of a month. That's insane, and I feel terrible for her. So this song is devastating. It's going on Maple Leaf status. I can do it with a broken heart is obviously God tier. This is one of the best songs on this album. This is insane. It's so good. It's so catchy, and like, it's just the sheer insane manicness of this song. The fact that it's like she is miserable, she wants to die, and the song is so upbeat and poppy is crazy, and I love it. It's madness and it's devastating, and yet we bop. Like, it's the saddest thing I've ever heard, but we're dancing. I love it. I'm so glad she added it to the set list. It would have been so weird if she hadn't, considering the whole point of the song is that she's singing on stage at the Eras tour and she wants to die. So if she hadn't added it to the set list, it would have been very strange. Um, I love it. It's incredible. And considering my heart doesn't work properly because I have POTS, I can relate. I can also do it with a broken heart. Not an emotionally broken heart, but physically a heart that doesn't work right. I can do it with a broken heart. The smallest man who ever lived is also God tier, almost entirely for the bridge. Like, I'll be honest, like, half the time I'm not really paying attention to the verses because they're very, very slow. Like, when it comes on and I hear, like, was any of it true? Ba, 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 ba. Like, it's very, very slow and stunted. Like, there's big kind of gaps between the syllables, which in a way I don't really like. I can't even remember the words. Like, you tried to buy some pills from some friends of mine. They just ghosted you. Now you know what that feels like. Like, it's very, very stunted, like almost nursery rhyme like. But when we get to that bridge, I was like, I said in my reaction video, I'm like, this is what I came here for. I was here for tea, I was here for drama, I was here for insane, unhinged bridges, and that is exactly what we got here. This is the most insane thing she has ever said. Like, genuinely, this is the craziest bridge she's ever released. This is up there with Champagne Problems for just the most insane set of words I've ever heard come out of her mouth. You know, were you sent by someone who wanted me dead? Did you sleep with a gun underneath our bed? Were you writing a book? Were you a sleeper cell spy? In 50 years will all this be declassified and you'll confess why you did it and I'll say good riddance because it wasn't sexy once, it wasn't forbidden, and I would have died for your sins. Instead I just died inside, and you deserve prison but you won't get time. You slide into inboxes and slip through the bars and crash my party in your rental car. You said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing. And in plain sight, you hid, but you are what you did. And I'll forget you, but I'll never forgive the smallest man who ever lived. That is the most insane set of words I've ever heard in my life. And the fact that she staged it as like the fucking Black Parade on stage and then gets shot and dies on stage is completely insane. It's amazing. It's art. I love it. The Alchemy. Okay, so The Alchemy is the first song on the album that's going in Death by Electric Chair. I'm sorry, I don't like this song. It's so boring. It does absolutely nothing. It comes on, it's like, this happens once a few lifetimes, or whatever the line is. It's just so boring. Like, and it never picks up. Like, I've listened to it a few times, and I'm like, maybe I'm just missing something. I'm not. It's just a boring song. I don't like it. I also cannot figure out if it is or isn't about Travis Kelce. Because Travis himself has said like it's one of his favorite songs on the album. It's like, well, duh. But the Swiftologist has made a good argument for this song not being about Travis Kelce. And I like, because when I heard it, I was like, oh, it must be because you know it's about like touchdowns and your boys lift you up, blah blah blah. And she's like put it second last on the album to kind of be like, this was my tortured poets era, but I've met this guy now and I'm happy. But the Swiftologist did make a good argument that this song has these lyrics in it about like coming back round to someone and like all that stuff that happened back in school. Like, it's, I can't remember what the line is, but like it's water under the bridge essentially. Like, what if I told you that we're cool? I'm back. And it's like, yeah, she doesn't have a history with Travis prior to her, like him saying about the friendship bracelet. So this idea of like stuff that happened in the past all being like in the past and you know I'm back in your life doesn't make sense for it being about Travis because she doesn't have any history with him. She does of course have a history with Matty Healy, and there's the line in it about it feels like heroin but this time with an E, and obviously we know that Matty Healy is a drug addict or was a drug addict. And I took that, I did think, because I remember the Swiftologist, I think it was an Evolution of a Snake, like him and Madeline were saying, um, like, I don't think Travis Kelce could spell heroin, and like he wouldn't know it's spelled with an E, and I actually kind of thought that's what that reference was about, was like, because we know that Travis Kelce can't spell because of his tweet, where you can't, talking about squirrel, where it was spelt just like so wildly wrong. And I thought maybe that was the joke, was that like he can't spell. So she's like, it's like heroin, but it's with an E. But I think the Swiftologist does make a good argument that there are a lot of lyrics in this song that are very Matty coded. Um, and I don't want it to be about him, and I think that where it's placed on the album does kind of make it seem as if it should be about Travis, because it seems as if it's like, I went through all this shit, but now I'm happy again, rather than the song about meeting Matty being at the end of the album. But I don't know, regardless of who it's about, regardless of what the concept is, I don't really like the song as a song. It's just not very good. Clarabelle. This is one that the entire fandom loves, and I just don't really feel it. And I absolutely love the concept behind it, don't get me wrong. And I have had to listen to it a few times on its own, because I think by the time I got to the end of the album and my reaction, I was knackered. I'd been recording for 2.5 hours, which is not really healthy for me at this point. And I wasn't drinking enough water while I was doing it, which is not good, because I need to drink a lot of water now because of my health conditions. Um, so I think I wasn't really I didn't really take in I didn't get the idea of Clarabelle when I listened to it. I absolutely completely missed the point of the song because I was just so kind of past the point of being able to process information by that point. I love the concept of like there's always going to be another girl up and coming, and the record companies are always going to try and replace whoever came before. So it's like it used to be Clarabelle, and then there was Stevie Nicks, and now there's Taylor, but the next generation is coming. Taylor's in her 30s. She knows that her time as the darling of the music industry is going to come to an end, and someone else is going to take her place, and that's why it's like, you look like Taylor Swift, you have edge she never did, you're going to be the next big thing. And the cycle repeats, and they put another girl into the spotlight, and they treat her like shit, and they make her dance to their little tune, and then they drop her like hot potatoes when the next thing comes along. But just sonically as a song, it doesn't really do very much for me. I think I'm gonna have to give it I Forgot That You Existed, and I feel really bad about that. I really do. But very much like Fresh Out the Slammer, I love the lyrics, but just as a song, like sonically as a song to listen to, I don't really enjoy it, so I'm not really gonna listen to it. So that's kind of where I'm at with Clarabelle, unfortunately. But I do love the idea. I just don't really want to listen to it, like, ever again. Okay, we're going into the anthology now, and the anthology for me is very much more my style. It's not that I would say that it's stronger, because I think, in a way, I think it has higher highs and lower lows, but it's more consistently my type of music, and I enjoy listening to the anthology as a whole, like back to back as an album, more than I enjoy listening to the standard album. But I can understand why some people think that the majority of the anthology was unnecessary, because I think a lot of the songs in here don't tell the story of the tortured poet and her mutual manic episode and all the stuff that this album's meant to be about. But as someone who just wants more Evermore songs, I cannot complain. I clap and cheer. So, The Black Dog. The Black Dog honestly gets stuck in my head more than any other song in this album, which is bizarre because you think that it's too slow and too sad to do that. But I spend my entire life trying to get the chorus of this song out of my head. Like, I'll just be sitting and all I can hear is, I just don't understand why you don't miss me in the black dog. And it's just all I hear. All I hear. I hope it's shitty and the black dog was so well place to start in line. You jump up, but she's too young to know this song that was intertwined in the magic fabric of our dreaming. Old habits die screaming. It's constantly in my head. But I love the whole idea of this song. The fact that it's just about like her looking at her phone and seeing Matty Healy walk into the Black Dog Bar in Ireland to do a gig or something, as far as I know, and being like, how are you out there having fun? I can't even get out of bed. I'm so miserable, and you're out there in bars? Uh, how? How is that a thing? What are you... I don't understand how you don't miss me. Like, and then that line about like my rain-soaked body was shaking, and how she's like, I don't understand how when you're in the shower you don't think about that time that I got absolutely fucking drenched at the Eras tour and you were there. It's crazy. Like, the lyrics are just so good and so specific, and I love it, and it's such a good song. It's such a good song. So I think I'm gonna have to give the Black Dog God tier because I genuinely love this song. I really do. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back. I feel like should have been on the main album, and I feel like we could have taken something off the main album and put it on here. Maybe Clara Bow. I feel like Clara Bow would have fit better on the anthology than on the main album. It seems more like the actual message of the Clara Bow feels more and fitting with what the message of the anthology is over the Torture Poets department, but I'm Gonna Get You Back is so catchy. It's such a little bop and like it has no right to be as good as it is. I really like it. It's got like real blank space vibes of like whether I'm gonna uh be your wife or smash up your bike. I haven't decided yet. Like that's so iconic. But I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back somehow. I'm either gonna get you back as my boyfriend or I'm gonna get revenge on you. Um and she's deliberately written it all as one word because it's supposed to reference a 1980. Oh my god, what is that? What are they called? The 1975. I was about to say 1989. That's her album. A 1975 song where the title's all one word. The thing is that I don't understand the references to like 1985 songs because I don't like their music. I don't listen to the 1975. So these are all things I've had to learn through other people. But I've heard that is the point, is that she's referring to a 1975 song. Um, very clever. I'm gonna give it Maple Leaf status, I think, because it is very good. The Albatross is absolutely god tier. This is one of my favorite songs on the whole album. It's absolutely in my top 5 because it is basically Willow 2. Like I heard that song and I could have cried, like genuinely it made me really emotional just because of how Evermore it is. And like after Midnights, I never thought I was going to hear an Evermore song ever again. And considering that's my favorite album, like that's my favorite sound, and specifically Evermore, because as much as I love folklore, I do think Evermore has a different vibe, and I do prefer Evermore. That is my favorite Taylor Swift album. It's the first album that she ever, like in 10 years, that managed to knock Speak Now off my top slot because I just could never let go of what that album meant to me, and I would just kind of resign myself to believing that there was never going to be anything she released that could top that for me. And then one day I just kind of had to accept that actually Evermore is my favourite album. So hearing this song that feels like it came straight off of Evermore honestly made me emotional. And I just think it's so good. The whole concept of the song basically being like, everyone's going to tell you that I am a nightmare, that I will destroy your life. But I promise you, if you come with me, I'm gonna do everything I can to make it better. Like I will be there for you. I will be loyal. I will be the best girlfriend I can. You just have to ignore all of the nonsense. But, you know, they will tell you that I am the albatross and I'm here to destroy you. It's so good. I love it. It's so beautiful. I could listen to a song all day. Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus definitely took me a few lessons because this one didn't quite click with me on the first few lessons. And the weirdest thing is that I didn't realise until I was editing my reaction video that she's used the Champagne Problems piano line in this song, which to me makes it really hard to figure out what this song's about because I truly believed it was about Matty Healy because obviously the idea of the song is like the line itself is like hands in the hair of somebody in darkness named Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, meaning that the person in question has to be bisexual. And everyone was like, well, Joe Alwyn isn't bisexual. That we know of. Maybe he is. Ultimately, we don't actually know. He might be. He might be. We're not outing people. We're not accusing people of queerbaiting. We're not forcing people out of the closet. Who knows? Maybe Joe Alwyn is bisexual. But Matty Healy, as far as we know, is. And of course, the whole line of like, if you want to break my cold, cold heart, just say I love you the way that you were, obviously makes me think of like the fact that they met back in 2014 before her reputation was destroyed, before Snakegate, before her mother almost died of cancer, before she spent 7 years in a relationship with someone else, before the pandemic. All of these things that like have completely changed who she is as a person, have very much altered her perception on the world and the way that she acts and just the way that she is as a person. And he knew her before all that when she was this like happy little 20 something who was like fun and free and living in New York and hanging out with all her friends and just like having what is quite obviously, when we look back, like the happiest time of her life was when she was just free and single and living in New York. Um, and the idea of like, I thought we were going to be able to be a couple, but I realize now that you only love the version of me you met 10 years ago, and I'm not that person anymore, and that our relationship won't work, and about how sad that is, about how, how much that devastated her. But also, I think, and as the Swiftologist says, you don't have to, not every song that Taylor releases has to necessarily be only about one person, because especially at this point when she had two very significant heartbreaks within like a month of each other, like they were very much overlapping pain. So it's entirely possible that she's writing more about how she felt overall about both relationships rather than just one or the other. Because I also think the inclusion of the Champagne Problems thing is very much Joe coded, because he wrote that song. Like, that song's not about Matty Healy in any way, shape, or form. That song was written by her and William Bowery, Joe, but it was also written about someone who really wanted to get married and someone who really didn't. And as we see, as we can gather, that's actually what happened to her and Joe, but the other way around, where like she was the one who wanted to get married and he didn't. So is this song actually about Joe Alwyn? Because I think you can make the lyrics work that way as well, because like Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus doesn't have to mean that the person's bisexual. It could just mean that you're so distant from this person, you're like, I don't know who you're with. Could be Chloe, could be Sam, could be Sophia, could be Marcus. I don't know where you are, I don't know who you're with. And my brain is creating all of these scenarios where, you're with some girl, but maybe you're with some guy. I literally just don't know, because we're so far apart now, I don't know who you're with. And I think you absolutely can make the argument that, like, just say I love you the way that you were could definitely apply to them when you think about how much Taylor has changed since she met Joe. The fact that when he met her, she was in her year away, when she was hiding from the spotlight, when she had taken herself away from everything to try and get her reputation back together. And that was the life that he enjoyed, was that life where it was quiet, where they would hang out in dive bars and she would sneak through the garden gate, and their lives were away from the spotlight. And that was also a life that they had during the pandemic. For 2 years they basically never left the house, and they went back into that style where there was no paparazzi, where no one followed them around, and they were happy like that. But their relationship fell apart when Taylor went back out into the world and started becoming a big celebrity again, and that put a strain on them. And I think you could absolutely argue that just say I love you the way that you were means like I loved you the way that you were when we were away from the spotlight, but I don't really love this version of you anymore, because it's not what I didn't sign on to be with a big celebrity. I signed on to be with the Taylor Swift who was hiding in London away from the paparazzi. So either way, it's a very heartbreaking song. It's a very beautiful song. It includes Champagne Problems, and that's my favorite Taylor Swift song of all time. So I do like it. It's not up there in like my top favorites, but it's definitely getting marvelous tune, because I really like this song. How did it end? Someone pointed out that if you consider the anthology to be a separate album from the Torture Poets department, then How Did It End is also a track 5, and it's also very obviously about her and Joe, which again just signifies that idea that this is why this album exists. Yes, because of the Matty Healy of it all, but primarily because of the relationship breakdown with Joe, because she wouldn't have done all of the Matty Healy stuff had that relationship not went down in flames. How Did It End is so heartbreaking, because it's such a good idea for a song, of the way that, like, the idea, the verse about like, do you know who we ran into at the shops, stunned me. Like, that had me just like speechless, because like, do you know who we ran into at the shops, walking around like she was lost? Didn't you hear they called it all off? One gasp, and then how did it end? It's basically saying like a conversation where you, like, two people who know Taylor. One of them's like, oh, I bumped into Taylor at the store the other day, and she like seemed really out of it. Like, I don't know what's going on with her. And then the other one's like, oh, didn't you hear? Like, her and Joe broke up. And the other person gasps and goes, why? what happened? And it's such a real, such an authentic thing where it's just like everyone, you tell someone, like, we broke up, and they go like, oh no, why? Because we can't help it. We're naturally curious as human beings. It's just the way we are. And so people like said, I'm sure that happened to her all the time, but the reality was that she couldn't really answer because she didn't know why it ended. It just did. And I think, like I said earlier, I think that's sometimes the saddest part is not when it burns down in like a blaze of glory and some terrible thing happens and it destroys the relationship, but where it slowly dies over time. And she gets to the end and everyone's like, well, what happened? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. We were happy and then we were less happy and then we were even more unhappy and then we broke up. And I don't really know how we got from there to here, but we did. I don't know how it ended. And she's like, she has herself, like, I still don't know. How did it end? Heartbreaking. I really like this song. I'm gonna give it Maple Leaf status. I really like it. So High School is obviously God tier. I know that the Swiftologist hates this song so much, which is just really funny. Like, I get it. I love Zach. I think he's so funny. And his opinions are hilarious because he says a lot of the time what I'm thinking, but what I'm afraid to say because I don't want the Swifties to eat me. Like, but he has no shame. Like, he will just come out and be like, you know what, this song sucks, and that's the truth of the matter, and you need to go back to the doctor and get your taste buds checked. But I love So High School because it's just so perfectly early 2000s teen movie song. Like, this song would have absolutely killed in Smallville season 1. Like, Smallville season 1 had songs like Wherever You Will Go by The Calling. I remember, I don't know if it was season 1 or not, but I remember uh You and Me by Lifehouse was in there somewhere. I have a playlist of songs that I got from Smallville. I literally have that. Like, it had so many of these like classic songs. I feel like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls was in there somewhere as well. Sober by Kelly Clarkson, I remember, was used. And I just feel like that song would have been perfect in there. That song would have been in Smallville. And I love it. And I don't care what anyone says. You know how to ball. I know Aristotle, Touch Me While Your Boys Poo, Grand Theft Auto is hilarious, and I love it. I think that's so funny. Like, is it good lyrics? No. Is it clever? Yeah. Like, it's clever. Is it good? But is it clever? I love it. I hate it here, so I will go to lunar valleys in my mind. I hate it here gets stuck in my head because the amount of times in a day that I think this, like, I'll just be sitting there, I'm like, I hate it here. So I absolutely relate to this song. I do love this song. And like I said in my video, like, sonically, this song is so much like the score to the first Life is Strange game. Like, the actual score of that game is very, very similar to the music that plays through this song. And I love the music from Life is Strange, so I love that. And lyrically, I just think it's beautiful because I think I am one of those people who spends a lot of time locked in my own head because I hate the world that I live in. There is, as a writer, and quite often I find myself going to these fictional worlds that I've created, these fictional stories, these fictional characters, and just sort of spending my day there. And the good thing about being a writer is that people can't just accuse you of daydreaming because you're like, no, I'm actually working. I'm actually coming up with genius literature right now in my brain. Don't question the fact that I'm not writing any of it down. That's not the point. I'm not a daydreamer. I am a very, very creative artist creating works of literature that will one day win the what's a Booker Prize, New York Times bestseller. And so I really relate to this song, and I know people would not shut the fuck up about that lyric of the whole 1830s thing. And I don't know why, because it wasn't even as if it was out of context. Like, the line makes the whole verse says exactly what she's saying. We used to play a game when I was a kid, we played a game where we would pick a decade that we wanted to live in instead of this decade that we live in now. And I picked the 1830s, but even though I would have liked to live in the 1830s, I also wouldn't have liked it because it was full of racists and women didn't have any rights. And so I know that even though I'm romanticizing this era because that's when all the famous poets lived, I also know that realistically I would have hated it because nostalgia plays games with your brain and it only makes you remember the good things. And so I know that even if I went to a place where I thought that I would be happy, the reality is that I wouldn't be happy. I would still be just as sad as I am now because I hate it here. That's literally what it says. It's not even like subtext, it's literally just the lyrics. That is exactly what it says. It's not like you need any more context. It's not like you need a fucking degree in English literature to understand this. The lyrics are quite just explicitly stating that concept of I would have liked to live in the 1830s, but actually no I wouldn't because it was full of racists and women had no rights. And nostalgia is a mind trick. So I don't get why everyone was going on and on and on about this lyric because it made perfect sense and people were just deciding. And I saw some stupid TikTok where some girl was like, of course Taylor Swift wants to live in the 1830s because she's white and it's full of racists. And I'm like, the line is literally 1830s without all the racists. How are you turning it into Taylor Swift wants to live in the 1830s to be a racist? I don't understand. I don't understand. Anyway, I really like this song. It's getting Maple Leaf status. Thank you, Amy. So thank you, Amy, I'm a bit on the fence about because I do kind of agree that we've maybe sort of done this before. Like there is maybe a point where we stop writing songs about Kim Kardashian. And I'm not saying that Taylor should get over it because I absolutely don't think she needs to get over it. And I think Kim Kardashian saying that Taylor should get over it is very, very stupid because you don't get to bully someone and ruin their reputation and like derail their career and then tell them to get over it because that's not how that works. You don't punch someone in the face and then tell them to stop saying that it hurts. Like, you don't get to do that. But at the same time, do we need to keep hearing songs about it? Possibly not. But as a song, like musically, I do quite like it. Even if I think that maybe we didn't quite need it, and maybe we didn't quite need to put Kim in the letters. And as much as that's very creative, because like obviously that's what Taylor used to do in her album lyric book, where she would like put coded messages in the lyric book in capital letters, things like spelling out people's names or putting like um God, I'm trying to remember them. I used to sit down and work them all out when I got the album, but I'm drawing a blank on any of them at the moment. I don't know. I'm sort of neither here nor there on Thank You, Amy, so I suppose it's not love, not hate, just indifference is kind of where I'm at with that song. But musically, I do quite like it, but it's not the best song on the album. I Look in People's Windows is, in fact, the best song on the album. I don't want to hear anybody say anything otherwise. This song is one of the greatest things she's ever created. It's so beautiful, the lyrics are stunning, the music is stunning, and even though it's really short, it's just one of the best things I've literally ever heard. Like, my ears are just so happy to have this song. And I want never mind a 10-minute version, I need like a 10-hour version. I just need like more I Look in People's Windows. It's absolutely gorgeous. And like, honestly, if the only songs that I got in this whole album that I liked were But Daddy I Love Him and I Look in People's Windows, I would have been happy. Like, I could have accepted that because these two songs are so good that I would have taken a whole album of trash just to get the two of them. I love it. I would say that I Look in People's Windows is my favorite song on the album. Um, I feel like I have to say that it's Daddy I Love Him because I feel like people will look at me weird, but genuinely it's I Look in People's Windows is the song that has resonated the most with me off the whole album. The Prophecy is also gorgeous. I think I'm gonna give it Maple Leaf status. I just feel like I can't quite put it in the top tier, but it's very, very close. It's very close to being God tier. The Prophecy, I love the music of it, and the lyrics are so sad, and I love the evermore of it all. It's really, really pretty. I love it. And I love the idea of like this keeps happening to me. Um, oh, that's what I didn't talk about earlier was the whole come one, come all, it's happening again, and how did it end? I think is so sad. the idea of her being like, she thought that this time she wasn't going to go through another breakup, and then she did, and it's kind of like, well, everyone, gather round, Taylor Swift's single again, come and laugh at her, another relationship down the pan. It's like that bit in The Devil Wears Prada, where Miranda Priestley's like, another ex-husband, another Mr. Priestley, another father figure. That's kind of what it feels like, where it's like the media's like, Taylor Swift got dumped again, everyone. Did she ever consider that maybe she's the problem? She's got all these failed relationships. Um, yeah, and then the prophecy, of course, is kind of adding to that by her saying, like, I don't understand why this keeps happening to me. Like, I just want someone who wants to spend time with me. That's all I want. Why does it never work? Who do I have to speak to change the prophecy? So sad. And then, of course, following that up with Cassandra, who was a prophet, is so crazy. I really like Cassandra. It's not my favorite, but I think it's really pretty, and I love the idea of like they killed Cassandra first because she feared the worst and tried to tell the town, and they filled my cell with snakes. I regret to say, do you believe me now? This idea of like the idea of it being like Mad Women, kind of in a way of just like everyone tried to tell me that like I was just being mad, I was just being loud, I was just complaining, but I knew the truth all along. I knew what was really happening, and I knew that no one was seeing the big picture and what was really going on. And now you all see it, and funnily, none of you seem to be coming forward and apologizing for that. Like when it's burn the bitch, they're shrieking. When the truth comes out, it's quiet. This idea of like someone going out and trying to get everyone to see the truth, but they all just dogpile because it's more fun to tear down someone than to admit that they're wrong. So they'll all dogpile when it's fun, when they've got something to rag on Taylor about. But when it turned out that the thing that they were ragging her about was not even true, it was literally a manipulated, edited phone call that was portrayed a lie. When that came out, everyone was suddenly very quiet about it. Isn't that funny? I think it's a really good song. It's not my favourite, but I'm going to give it Marvelous Tune. Okay, Peter is Death by Electric Chair. I'm sorry. I don't like this song. I just find it really annoying. I feel horrible about that, but like, 'cause I know a lot of people love this song, but it's just the way it's the really, really repetitive chorus. And I know that repetition doesn't have to be bad, because like, obviously Out of the Woods is repetitive, but I like it. But this one just annoys me, the way it's just like, said you were gonna grow up, then you were gonna come find me. Said you were gonna grow up, then you were gonna come find me. It said you were gonna. It just annoys me, and I don't like Peter Pan. I don't care about Peter Pan as a character. I don't care about the idea, like what she's trying to relate this to, and I just don't really like the song, and I just don't care. So yeah, it's Death by Electric Chair for me. The Bolter. Um, I'm debating between Marvelous Tune and Maple Leaf Status because I really like The Bolter, but do I like it as much as like The Prophecy and how did it end and stuff? Okay, I think I'm gonna give it Marvelous Tune, but it's close. I really like The Bolter. It's like high Marvelous Tune. Again, it's very Evermore. I love the idea. I love relating it to like she's a kid and she would always run away, and then as an adult she would always run away from bad relationships, and it's supposedly about this real woman who got called the Bolter because she kept getting divorced, despite the fact that the men that she was married to never seemed to get any flack for getting divorced from her. She only ever seemed to get the flack for divorcing them. I think it's really clever, and I really like it. It's a shame that it's sandwiched between Peter and Robin. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was elsewhere in the album, so it made it easier to skip Peter and Robin, but never mind, because Robin is also Death by Electric Chair. The Swiftologist said that this song should have been a Dropbox link to Aaron Dessner's family rather than a song on the album, and I do kind of have to agree. It's a song about Aaron Dessner's son Robin, which is fine and that's very sweet, but I don't really need a song about childhood innocence and trying to protect a child's innocence. I'm not a parent, and I have absolutely zero desire to ever be a parent. This song, Never Grow Up, like, they're just not really it for me. So I don't like Robin, and I never listen to it, and I never will. The manuscript. I'm conflicted on the manuscript because I love the idea, and I love the lyrics, and I love the whole, like, I was absolutely speechless when I heard Um, because she was so wise above her years, everything had been above board. She wasn't sure, but I don't really listen to the manuscript because it's like so sad and depressing that I just am never in the mood for it. Like I never want to hear that song because it's so miserable. Um, so I think I'm gonna give it not love, not hate, just indifference, which I feel really bad about because it's better and it deserves more than that, but I just don't really want to listen to it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So yeah, that is my final tally, and as you can see, I do like the anthology more than the base album. You can tell. Um, well, actually, not by much. Actually, not by much when you look at it, because I've got like two of each in here, three of each here, one extra one here, but then four on each. So actually, it comes out pretty even. It's just that I've not got any, and I've got four in the bottom two tiers from the base album. I've only got two in the bottom two tiers from the anthology, although they're both in the bottom tier because they're both really boring songs. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this album, and it's been really fun getting to rank it. So do let me know in the comments below what you think of my opinions. Let me know your opinions, and I'll see you in whatever I post next. Bye, everyone.